Hi everybody, in today's video I'm going to give you one big tip for doing photography using a tripod. And I've come to a favourite area of mine at this time of the year. This is a place that always gets missed. So I have a very specific area in mind for this type of photography. Just sticking to a really small area, and there are patches of heather here as well. So I'm just taking my time just to look around, because it can be so easy just to rush around and try and take as many photos as possible because of the weather conditions. It's not going to be misty here for particularly long, but that doesn't mean to say, as I said, that I should just run around taking shots of everything. I still want to take my time and really work on the compositions. So I'm just working on composition here with some nice trees. In fact, the trees there are just starting to turn a different colour, ready for autumn as well. And there is some nice heather in the foreground and then some mist too. So I've got my new favourite lens on, which is my 24-120 f4. And I'm really loving this lens since I decided to exchange my 24-200. And what I'm doing here is just really zooming in. So I'm eliminating the sky from the shot, because the sky at the moment really isn't adding anything. It's just after sunrise. In fact, I think we're golden hour at the moment. So the sky isn't really doing anything for this shot. So I'm just going in for the bottom end, making sure I get some nice heather, which is a little bit wet today, which means that the colours are going to pop a little bit more. And that's what I'm doing. But as I said, taking my time just to work on the composition. I've literally moved about, 4 footsteps from where I was standing before. And my biggest tip for using a tripod is not to just use the screen on the back. I always find that actually going in, using the viewfinder is going to give you a much better shot. Because on the back of the screen, and it is great, but there's always a lot of things going on in the back, depends how you have your screen set up. But I find that using the viewfinder means that I get a much clearer view of the shot. Sometimes in the past, when I've only used the screen, I've found that, when I get back into Lightroom, I've got things at the bottom or the edges of the frame that I don't want. And then it means I either have to remove that in Photoshop or Lightroom, which of course I can do, but I'd rather just get it right in field. The other thing to do would be to crop it out. But yeah, I don't like cropping too much, particularly on the Nikons, because you do lose the megapixels as soon as you start cropping. So the viewfinder is always a great idea. So a few steps further down, and I'm looking at a shot here with this tree. Now, I have tried to take a photo of this tree before. I think it was about this time last year, to be honest, but I wasn't very happy with the result. And in fact, last time around, I tried to take it as a horizontal rather than a vertical shot. So I thought today I'm going to take it with vertical. And again, especially when it is in vertical, I really do want to be using the viewfinder here just to make sure. Now, it's one of the downsides of wearing glasses, so I can ditch those and probably put the cap around the other way or something, I don't know, whatever. And just, again, really look through to make sure that everything is lined up so that, again, I'm not having to kind of do any kind of intricate cloning, etc. When I get back into Photoshop. Yeah, and I might actually take a couple of shots of this because of the high dynamic range that I'm getting. Right, Right, so I've decided to leave the glasses in my rucksack. I'm going to go for a horizontal on this one as well. What I'm trying to do with both the vertical and the horizontal is to use this fence here as like a leading line, but I'm not entirely sure whether it works. I mean, it works as a leading line. I'm just not quite sure whether it actually interferes with the shot or not. I don't know. I'm going to put both shots up, probably the vertical and the horizontal, and feel free to let me know whether you think the leading line of the fence and the gate is distracting, or whether you think it actually adds a nice element to the shot. I've literally just spun the tripod around for this next shot. There's some really nice silver birch trees that you can see just behind me here. And again, it's one of those things that I've walked past many times because I generally come here when I just come out for a walk, etc. But I've never really had the conditions to take a nice shot. So I'm really just focusing in. Yes, there's a lot of silver birch, but most of them are kind of separating out. But I'm willing to compromise if a few of the trunks are going across each other. But again, just managing to zoom right in. The mist behind it is really separating it from the trees behind. And that was the problem that I've always had with this shot in the past. Without the mist, it just is way too complicated. There is one tree that's just behind it that you can see, but what I'm doing with the composition, and again, using the viewfinder to perfect this, is hiding that tree behind one of the silver birch. So it's a really nice shot in this direction, but because of this fence, it doesn't work with the tripod. So I'm going to go handheld on this one. It's actually bright enough. So what I'm doing is, let me just switch the camera on, would help, wouldn't it? So I'm going to actually go down to f8 on this, keeping the ISO at 100. I can nudge it up, 200, maybe 320 would work. And that is giving me, yeah, that's giving me 1/30. And I do have in-camera stabilization. The lens doesn't, but the camera's fine for that. I think just on the safe side, I'm going to bump up the ISO to 200. Yeah, and that's given me 1/80, which is pretty good. I am at 120 on the lens, but I think with the stabilization, that should still give me a nice enough shot. Give it a go. So there's a really nice tree that you can see behind me here, and it's a nice kind of apple green color. So again, as I mentioned before, some of the trees are starting to change for autumn, and it's got a little bit of soft light on it from the sun, and I'm able to get some nice separation between this tree and the trees behind it. Now, the fog has pretty much disappeared, but the reason that I'm getting the separation is because I've got contrasting greens. So it just goes to show that even when we don't have mist or fog, we can still get some separation between trees. As I said, particularly this time of the year when the trees are starting to change colour and at different speeds as well. And that's what I'm able to achieve here. But I really, really love the look of this. Well, I certainly love the look of it back of camera anyway, but let's see what it looks like once I get it into a Lightroom. Wow, what a beautiful morning that was. And I nearly didn't come out as well because I woke up with a headache. Anyway, as always, thank you for watching and see you next time.